Learning to advertise with cold outbound kept my company alive. And that's how I learned cold outreach.
In Alex Hormozi's $100 million leads book launch, he talks specifically about cold email. And as somebody who sent millions of cold emails to acquire clients myself, this piqued my interest. So in today's video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna see what Alex Hormozi has to say about cold email and how you need to use it to get new clients every single day for your business. So let's get into it.
So the first question I get is, but how do I contact them? The simple answer is you build a list. And there's 3 ways to build a list. You can scrape them, you can buy them, you can look for them. And I've done all of these. Scrape them means you're using softwares. And so this is what I would call step 1. All right, so you want to subscribe, in my opinion, to as many of these softwares as you can. And if the contact information is up to date and the leads are responsive and they are the type of person the software claims them to be, then bingo, buy more.
So the first thing that he suggests is to scrape leads, which I think is by far the most important part of doing any sort of cold outreach, because if you're reaching out to somebody and they're not, in fact, good leads, then you're pretty much wasting your time. He suggests software, which I totally suggest doing because there's literally databases of millions of contacts that you can tap into. And me personally, I've used pretty much any software that you can think about as far as lead scraping goes. I would say a lot of the data is somewhat similar, especially the big ones like an Instantly, where you can get really granular with the data that you're looking for. I think the most important thing that you want to look at when you're using softwares to scrape data is that the contact is actually verified and there's a verification process within the software, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to get a software with 20,000 leads and then you come to find out that the emails are not verified, meaning that they're not even good emails, and it becomes a complete waste of time for you.
The second way, and I've used these too, is brokers. Just like you can have people who buy and sell anything, there's people who buy and sell lists. And so all you have to do is go to many of them and ask them to make you a list. And most of them will give you a sample list to show you that their stuff is good.
As far as like buying it through a broker, I've done that a couple of times for some key niches that we've wanted to work with. While it's nice to have a super high volume, maybe I didn't give them enough detail, but it's just a massive list with not really a lot of qualifications from my experience. But I'm sure there's brokers out there that can certainly help you out with this.
The third is elbow grease. All right, this is actually doing it. So this is where you join the groups and the communities that I think have my audiences. And so when someone meets my qualifications, I check to see if I have ways to contact them in the group's directory. So links to their social media profiles, etc.
So I think the elbow grease method is super good and super tactical if you're trying to go super personalized to a niche, or if maybe your niche is a little bit trickier to find. How we have used elbow grease in the past is we've hired VAs to scrape specific directories. Let's just say I work with home service companies and I find a directory of all these home service companies that are a part of this organization. Then what I can do is I can have the VA scrape all the information for the potentially qualified people that are a part of a specific organization, which I then can leverage as a personalized line. And I can know that this is a really qualified list. We've also done this from a local perspective. If they made a list of top companies in Washington State, top companies in California, whatever it could be, then we've had a VA go out and scrape those specific lists and congratulate them on being a top company in XYZ location, just as a personalized line.
So once you scrape the list, here's what you say. Personalize and then give big fast value. You'll notice that this is similar to warm outreach where you personalize. Here's how you personalize. You act like you know them. So the idea is to make the cold outreach feel like a warm outreach. The best way to do this is to actually know something about the person you're contacting. Personalization in your outreach attempt, whether it's phone calls, cold emails, cold DMs, whatever, gets your foot in the door to get the sale.
Could agree with this more. I see so many people using cold email and writing a 6-paragraph email talking about their services and what they have to offer and how they can help them without making it feel like it is like what Alex is saying, like you actually know them. I love what Alex says, that you want to make your cold outreach feel like warm outreach, which is why personalization is key, which is going back to the first thing, which is why having a really solid list is key, so that you can take key items from the list and then use that in your personalization, like what he says, area code, name, or something about them. And luckily, with technology these days, we can now leverage AI to help us with the personalized line so that we have an opener that it's not generic and you're actually getting a foot in the door and piquing the interest, because you are competing with so many people in the inboxes. And without a personalization, you're literally just going to end up in the trash folder.
So the problem number 2 here is that I have my list now, but what do I say to them? That's what you say. You talk about them.
Another huge pro tip is to not overcomplicate your messages in cold email. You want to talk about them. You want to make them feel good. You want to not sound like just another email blast with a subject line of quick question and here's what we do. Take the time to either leverage AI to write some personalized lines. Make sure your list is good so that you can personalize something from your list so that when you are reaching out to people, you can actually pique your interest.
And so the key difference between people who know you and strangers is that strangers give you less time to prove your worth. Someone you're familiar with, you give more time. Someone you're less familiar with, you give less time. Someone you don't know, you give seconds. It's just a spectrum. You give away the farm. We're not trying to tickle their interest. We're trying to blow their minds in under 30 seconds with the value that we're going to provide. That's where your lead magnet comes in. That's why it was the first thing we talked about. You need to make your lead magnet exceptional. I just want to emphasize the fact that it's not like, oh, here's my thing. Make your thing exceptional and make it insane so that they will want to listen more.
I think the key point that I love Alex Hormozi says is that when you're reaching out to somebody cold, they don't trust you. They have no idea who you are. If you're building your brand, if you have brand clout with a prospect, they're going to give you more time because they trust you. They already know who you are. They already know what you have to offer. They already know the accolades that you've been able to potentially achieve. But when you're doing cold outreach, they know nothing about you. If you're writing a complex email and you're just making it all about you and you're just trying to go for the right hook and you're trying to get them on a call right away, like the answer is likely going to be no because there's no trust established. So what he suggests, and which we say all the time in our video, is that we want to add value. The call to action is, can I add value to you? Because what we want to do is we want to turn the people that don't trust you, we want them to raise their hand and we want them to say, yep, send me some value. And then that way there's a level of reciprocity that can come into play that when they do respond, they're more likely to be receptive to what you have to say or receptive to a follow-up call or receptive to a follow-up text that you can then try to get them on a call. But if you're just cold outreach trying to get them on a call right away, your likelihood of actually getting them on a call is going to be very low because again, they do not trust you. So create a lead magnet that you can give away to somebody. We always say at the end of our videos, like, can I send you a personalized video on how you can achieve the same for your business or something along those lines that you can lead with. And that is your core lead magnet that you're always sending to people that is actually value packed for the niche that you are serving.
The perfect combination for maximum leads is max personalization with max volume. And with tech, you don't always sacrifice personalization with scale. And everyday data becomes more accessible to find personal data. So if you can set up the tech to accomplish both personalization and volume, you have an incredibly effective lead getting combo.
This is something that we're constantly trying to innovate on, constantly trying to figure out what the best way to go about this is. If you can leverage AI, if you can leverage technology to help assist in writing the personalized lines, you are going to be set up for success. Good thing with like tools like an Instantly Lead Finder, they have the AI column that you can just have a personalized line from the information that you're pulling from the lead finder. There's ChatGPT out there. There's a lot of different tools that you can use to not only just have a massive volume of lists, but a massive volume of lists with the personalizations that are more likely going to get you those responses that we're all yearning for, that we're all shooting for. So don't think that you need to sit there and write personalized lines for hundreds of thousands of different contacts. Leverage tech and figure out how to scale this for your business and use a tool like Instantly's Lead Finder in order to do this, because just like what Alex Hormozi said, this is a deadly effective lead getting combo.
And so there's two ways you can get more from your list. More ways and more times. More ways means the more ways you try to contact someone, the more likely you're to contact them. For example, I don't respond to phone calls like I said earlier, but I respond more to direct messages than I do. It's just me. Not everyone's like that. Some people like phone calls. On the flip side, you also have more times. So if you contact someone multiple times, then you show that you are serious.
So with a tool like Instantly, there's a lot of good data that you can see, okay, who opened it, who clicked on the emails, and that can trigger for you to use a more way to reach out. With a cold email, this is your foundation to reach out, and then it gives you the data, who opened, who clicked, who didn't reply, and then that could trigger you to have a more way to reach out to them. And then the more times, like we don't just want to send one email to somebody and expect them to respond and be like, yep, I trust you, like for sure, send me your stuff. We want to follow up with them and create a sense of urgency, like what Alex is saying, that, hey, if you don't get this, like you're going to be missing out on a massive opportunity. You're going to be missing out on more business growth. You're going to be missing out on more brand, whatever that could be for your specific niche and for your specific offer.
And so bottom line here is act like you're actually trying to get a hold of these people rather than going through the motions, and you probably will. And don't be a nincompoop. Someone asks you to not contact them, don't contact them again. All right, not because there isn't a chance that it could work, but because for the same effort, you could reach out to someone who isn't already negatively inclined, who doesn't already hate you. It's just more efficient to turn neutrals to yes than no to yes. And on top of that, you don't want a bad reputation. That stuff follows you. So try hard because you have a genuine desire to solve their problem, but be respectful.
Couldn't agree with more with this. If somebody says, take me off your list and you keep emailing them, do you think they're actually going to be a customer of yours? Probably not. If you continue to email them and you continue to annoy them and become a nincompoop, like what Hormozi says, you're just simply wasting your time when you could be using that same time and energy to go out and do the same for a neutral customer, just like what Hormozi says.
This is actually a screenshot from one of our portfolio companies. Here's the emails per day. We got 30% open rate, which in the phone call would have been in pickups, and 10% that opens reply. Pretty good. These are actual numbers from a company. So like you can get good at this stuff, and this company is very good at it.
This is a great example of different metrics for different niches. Totally depends on like what you're having to offer, what your lead magnet is, what your copy is. But these aren't horrible benchmarks. Like the volume amount of people contacted is just not really that high. Like 100 personalized emails to get 48 replies is pretty low. And I think the open rate that they show here at 53% is also pretty low. But with, let's just say, a 6% reply rate, which is pretty freaking good, and assuming that the personalization is dialed and the lead magnet is actually helpful, this is absolutely achievable. So if you're sending, let's just call it 10x 100, if you're sending 1,000 emails a day and you get 6% to reply, like that's going to be a significant amount of replies and responses that you can respond to, assuming they're not all going to be positive. Let's just say like a little bit less than half are positive. Like these are some pretty awesome numbers. I mean, 6% of 1,000 is 60 emails every single day that people would be responding to, which would take up a lot of your time. And let's just assume that half of those are going to be positive replies. That's going to be 30 people that are raising their hand asking for the value that you are going to provide, which is the lead magnet. Then with those group of 30, that's how you can use the more ways to reach out to them and get them on a call, not just through the email.
One of, if not the main reason that I think Gym Launch was able to sell for the multiple it did was because we had 50% of our sales that came from cold outbound. So for them, they knew, okay, they've paid ads, but they also have an equally strong channel with cold outbound. And they also know, cool, well, we can double the outbound team and we'll double the sales, which is more or less what they did.
So I'm going to pause here on these 7 points. Like this is massively valuable because a lot of people are like,
oh, I want to build my brand, or I want to be the face of the company, or I want to create all this content and have a lot of people draw to me and make it more about me as a business owner.
But with the cold outbound, the points that he makes, you don't need to create a lot of content or ads, which is time, money. Your competition won't know what you're doing. It's not like they can go to your ad library, see all your ads, they can copy all your content, and they can just duplicate what you're doing. It's incredibly reliable because if we just figure out the numbers behind it, then what we just need to do is reverse engineer the numbers every single month to figure out how many deals we need to get from how many emails that we need to send every single day. Fewer platform changes, compliance is less painful, like there's less hoops to go through to actually send an email. No spokesperson equals sellable business, like what he said. There's no face, there's no reliance on a CEO, there's no reliance on a face of the company who needs to create content consistently and be the face, which could end up being a roadblock in the business because everything is expected to go from you as an owner. And then lastly, it's hard to copy because nobody can see what you're doing. And I really love what Hormozi said right now, that 50% of his business came from outbound, meaning that it's replicatable, it's scalable, it's duplicatable, it's valuable to you as a business owner. But also if you ever want to sell or consider doing that, then you have a predictable channel that you can just turn on, turn up, turn down as needed and as your business fluctuates. So love his points on the cold outbound from that perspective.
So to break past $1 million a month, we automated the entire process of scraping, crafting, and sending emails for one of our portfolio companies. One virtual assistant sends 2,000 emails a day using multiple pieces of software. This generates the business 40 engaged leads per day. Note, the response rate dropped because we took so much personalization off. From there, they were able to get about 10% of those engaged leads sold, meaning they get 4 new customers a day. This got them past that 100 customers a month barrier. Fun facts. They started with us at $250,000 per month. Mind you, we do much bigger businesses now, but this is earlier on when we started. Our minimum size requirement at the time. And that business now makes, actually now the number's higher, over $20,000 per customer in lifetime value. Can you do the math with 4 customers a day at how much money they make? Interesting. All unlocked with cold outreach.
So a couple key points that I want to call out on this is like one, having a team around you, like a virtual assistant that's sending the emails and monitoring the inboxes, the instant leads inboxes, probably with those 40 engaged leads, probably sending it to somebody else to actually set appointments from the engaged leads using the more way method that Hormozi was just talking about. And then after they get them on a call, they can get 10% of the engaged leads, which are likely positive replies, people raising their hand, and creating a system around it. Don't just like spit fire and come to send a bunch of leads and send a bunch of emails every single day without a system behind you that you can replicate, that you can train people to follow, and create a system just like this to create predictability in your business. What whatever the system is for you, it's really important to just create a back end for it and not just spray and pray and be like,
oh, people aren't responding. Well, it's like,
okay, do you even have a system for people to follow up with clients? There's the system for the list building, system for the appointment setting and sending, and probably the system for the actual sales frameworks after they actually engage them. This is totally doable, totally achievable with the numbers that I see here. Imagine if they went to 120,000 emails per month. It's like they can make 8 customers a day getting $200,000 every single day. So again, this is why I love cold outbound and love that Hormozi is talking about this, because a lot of people see Hormozi and like what he's doing and think that all of his business came specifically from his brand and from creating content and doing ads. But on the back end, what you didn't see is 50% of the business came from doing stuff just like this. If you want the same software that he's been talking about, the screenshot that he showed with the analytics, it is called instantly.ai. You can check out the link in the description to get more information on it and sign up and start doing the same thing that Hormozi just preached. And also, if you want to learn how to use cold emails A to Z to start getting clients for your business, you can go ahead and click on this link right here and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one.